San Diego Comic-Con had Magic the Gathering news today. Through the way of IGN, we have a smattering of Spider-Man cards revealed from the upcoming Spider-Man Universes Beyond set. Up first was a flip Peter Parker, a white 2-drop that makes a Spoder when he enters. Then for 4 mana, you can transform him into Amazing Spider-Man, who is a 4/4 with Vigilance and Reach. He also grants web-slinging to other legendary spells, which seems like ninjutsu for more but less restrictions. And it's also going to be legal with ninjutsu Kaido, so that should be fun. These cards also don't appear to have complicated flip conditions. Instead, I think they're just dual-sided cards where you can cast either side if you like, and the 2-drop side just has the bonus of upgrading later. It's also going to have these retro comic versions that are going to be called Iconic Moments for booster fun. Hopefully most of these are all direct from comic versions, not like some of the Final Fantasy cards that were direct screenshots from the game, especially the old games where the screenshots just didn't look that great on a card. The next card was Spider-Man Noir. Kind of a slow as a 5-drop, but it is a payoff for other creatures that are already on the field as he enters. Once you put a counter on a solo attacking creature, then surveil X, where X equals the amount of counters on that creature. Hopefully it's a bristly bill and your opponent decks themselves trying to surveil. Spider-Ham is going to be a duke for many creature types. A 2-drop that makes a food when he enters and buffs so many kinds of creatures relevant right now in Standard, and probably any you need him to for Commander as well. Also, Spider-Ham has a hot dog. There wasn't one hot dog to be found in Final Fantasy for my guy Zell, who's still starving to death to this day. Next is Spider-Man 2099. I think this guy is from the future. He also has restrictions on him like the Jace from Thunder Junction. You have to imagine though that this guy paired with Vivi and Adventures and Recursion are going to make some awesome new combos. I hope that's the reason for his turn restriction, and not just for the from the future flavor. I think this card should be pronounced Spider, but it's spelled like a file path. But Penny Parker is here with a 5-drop robot to initiate a draw engine for yourself. I think I'm surprised that the blue-white artifacts deck is still getting support. Can't I ever have peace and safety from blue-white artifacts? There was also a good amount of cards spoiled from the starter set, but as people seem to find them underwhelming, as they're meant to be in non-constructed format legal starter decks, but they are available for viewing on Wizards' website, so I'll post the link in the video description. Among other starter reveals, we also got to see some comically great cards like Grow Extra Arms, a new take on giant growth type spells. The dinosaur swinging Spider-Man Spider-Rex just being a big old dino. And Kapow, a new take on a fight spell in green. Those are some of my favorites, but check out the link and see what else was spoiled in the starter decks. Maybe I just like the green ones. I don't know how popular Spider-Man is going to be, but I expect it's going to be crazy. People seem to believe that Spider-Man alone isn't enough when it could have been the entire Marvel cast for this first set. But Spider-Man is the single most popular hero for Marvel. For comparison's sake, in all the time of Final Fantasy, it sold over 100 million games. And likewise, for Lord of the Rings, it sold around 100 million copies of the books. Spider-Man, however, has sold 50 million copies of just the 3 most recent PlayStation games, before you even get into any of the comics, movies, or crossovers. So the true difference will have to lie in the rabidity of collectors, and whether they show up like they did for Final Fantasy. I think it's safe to expect them to do so. Collector booster fever is going to be wild for this set as well. The other interesting part of the Marvel Universe's Beyond set is that none of them will be coming to MTG Arena. When these sets were Modern or Pioneer only, that wasn't a huge deal. Now that this is a standard release, we have a workaround on the way. Wizards will be providing us with a digital-only set called Through the Omen Paths to represent the Spider-Man set on MTG Arena. We'll have all the same mechanics, but we'll have new artwork and different card names. I don't believe Wizards has revealed if it will still be tied to a specific plane or existing in-universe content, or if the set name just implies that an Omen Path somewhere probably exists and this is what this group of people is doing over there. Well away from Phyrexians and men with boners for artifacts. I have to imagine though that Wizards is thoroughly enjoying paying for twice the amount of artwork for this set, and that should tell us exactly how profitable they expect it to be if that wasn't no problem for them. If Final Fantasy was their best-selling set ever, I'm sure it gave them some insight into how much they can print for the next one, especially depending on what the headliner is. A 100 count serialization for Spider-Man makes more sense than an in-universe specific number like 77 for Final Fantasy. To make that work, Wizards then can print that many more collector boxes to maintain the pull rate, unless they want to dilute it a little bit further. And let's just dive into rampant speculation on how many packs there will even be. There's so many publicly available numbers, and by so many, I mean this is the only one I know, and that's 200 million. Wizards announced that they made 200 million on the first day of Final Fantasy. I don't even know what that means, because I assume Wizards made their money well before that date when they sold all the product to distributors. Maybe it means that retail stores took in $200 million on the first day of release, but I don't think that's when Wizards made any money. But that figure doesn't really give us any way to tell how much product there was of each type, between play boosters, collector boosters, bundles, gift bundles, commander decks, and starter sets. So back to rampant speculation. Wizards did limit the golden chocobos to just English collector boosters this time, so it's possible the print run is even more limited than we are suspecting. But the only information on the box is that the serialized card is in less than 1% of packs. A lot of people try to extrapolate that number to really be 0.1%, and believe then that there are 770,000 boxes. But that just seems like an uncomfortable number. I also imagine that the business people who likely decide the actual size of the print runs, and not the set designers we see at events, would pick a more enticing number like a true 1 million boxes. That looks nice on a line item. But that number also seems kind of crazy. I can't see a scenario where Wizards hasn't already delivered all of those boxes to distribution. And if they said they made 200 million on the first day, and they sold the 1 million boxes for, I don't know, let's invent a random number here for Wizards to sell them to distribution for. I'm going to say 300. So 300 million in collector boxes locked in. That just doesn't seem to add up. There are a good amount of people playing Magic, but I don't know if any set has had 1 million collector boxes. With all the allocation complaints reported by stores, I don't think that number is accurate, or the 770,000. I think half that number is more accurate. At around 360,000 boxes, you get a golden chocobo about every 4,500 to 5,000 boxes. Or would it be? I spent forever thinking about this, and even 1 in 4,500 seems obnoxiously low. But that's the difference between one single serialized card and the many mini cards we've had in sets like Brothers War, March of the Machine, and Ravnica Remastered. But I'm going to keep 360k as my number. What I'm really getting around to here is to talk about how I think Wizards decides how much money to make. Scarcity sometimes is good for the brand. It drives demand and lets people know that they need to buy now on the next set or get left without. Along with scarcity, Magic is also carrying the rest of Hasbro. The company was left holding the bag in almost every other department, so the businessmen doing business at Wizards may have some tethers on how big they can swing on a set. All that to say, I'm sure they do their market research that says if we make 360k boxes, 80% will sell and stores trickle the rest out over the following months. And then they just get to write one huge line item of sold. Likewise, the commander decks probably have the same process, as they are linked to the collector boosters through the collector booster samples inside. I think Wizards sits down and writes their own check here, and picks a guaranteed number with low risk after the high print runs post-COVID. Hasbro is then happy to collect that to hedge the risk of the rest of the company. The only real unknown for Wizards when they start printing is how many play booster print runs there will be over time. In the most recent years of Magic make it seem like we'll see a lot of extra play booster boxes once the printer catches up. So with Spider-Man, if Wizards believes that the collectors are stronger here than with Final Fantasy, I expect they'll print more collector boxes, but not anything crazy, something reasonably larger that they still feel like will sell out. And thanks for getting this far in my old man ramble. I think many of us dream about owning a game store and making conversations like this more valuable based in real numbers with distributors, but I know for now that's out of my range, so it's still fun to just ramble about with friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and take care.